locations that would make it tough to fight, but they could at least be acclimated to it by virtue of study and training, and we did that. We've done that in 2 world wars. Men had never gone over and fought in France. They haven't fought in Japan and China, but they fought with battle tactics that would get them through at a time and a place that was required. It didn't matter that you had to be there to practice the training. That's ridiculous. That's right. It is just a way of saying to the American people, gee whiz, we're doing our friendly thing internationally, of course. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Excuse me. It is a big deal. It's becoming a larger deal every day, and there will soon be enough forces in this country not only to control basically the American people, but those forces, military and police, that would say, no, we're not going to do this. We're backing off. We're checking out of this game. We're going to go with the good guys. That is the American people, the people trying to defend their own land, and so they're going to have enough and enough sophisticated weaponry on the ground, weapon system, defensive and offensive, that they can deal with any loss of troops. Either civilian or military, that is police forces, and it's part of the great plan, Hawk. It's not just something they talk about. It's not something they'll just deal with. They'll reflexively handle. They have trained and are prepared air assets, land assets, and in some cases on the coast, naval assets to deal with this whole thing should there be an uprising.
Yes, they are, and I'll tell you something. And if they ain't got enough troops, all they got to do is send a few Anatovs to pick up some red Chinese paratroopers, if they want them, I believe that the Costco could send enough boats, that's the Chinese Overseas Shipping Company, could put enough container ships filled up instead of with illegal red Chinese workers. They could fill them up with red Chinese troops pretty easily, and then, of course, they do have the red Chinese have Long Beach port available for them, and so it's just wonderful. Now, Greg, going back to the term the Octagon, I've talked about that, and we've talked about it as the 8th command, the end-time kind of command. Tell us more about what you know about that, and then also perhaps the sense of evilness of it.
Well, not only, Hawk, did the great planners for the end of the world, the end of time, cataclysms beyond anything we can imagine, tectonic plate shifting, all-out nuclear war, asteroid or other issues from space, whatever it is, the United States committed at least 20 years ago that I'm aware of. It may be longer than that. Steve might have a better time frame about that, but I'm aware of 20 years, that the underground building of retreats, bunkers, deep transportation lines at high speed, and all of that have been going on for years as technology developed and they upgraded below ground. What was the point of investing above ground any more facilities, knowing that most likely those facilities would be destroyed on a first strike or on some unknown targeted asteroid hit, and I don't mean someone targeted, but wherever it lands.
Or invasion from
sure,
space.
And and the forces from space that come out there. It's real easy with NASA being under the Pentagon to always have told their pilots and command module commanders that anything you see out there you don't report. Then my good friend Clark McClellan, who worked at NASA for over 30 years and is aware of what's going on in space and has made it part of his life's mission now as he gets toward the end of his life to try and bring this out. Look, there is no doubt in my mind that there are forces at play in space that just do simply, all they do is they're just going to complicate everything that we see and that we're a part of in the next, the short-term future. But going back to the underground, they had to mimic what was already done above ground, but they expanded it a little bit and gave command to this. As we know, we have a Pentagon in Washington that is the home, the seat, as President Eisenhower said, of the great military-industrial complex if he stated that much, and it's been acknowledged over the last 60 years that this is in fact a great institution of tyranny in this country, then why would it be so unusual or so unbelievable that they would have reestablished the Octagon Command, that is an eight-sided, eight elements to this command, including, of course, the service branches, the police and intelligence branches, economy and banking. Hawk, it has control of everything in our society, everything that we deal with. And of course, when you reduce it down to general headings that just deal with this, we're talking about an issue that, for banking, for instance, it would of course be all the Federal Reserve, the institutions of the banks themselves, the types of lending, that they're going to control it all. Cashless society, into the chip.
Bank holidays, everything
correct.
in your safe deposit box belongs to the government. Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
We'll have fun trying to get into it as soon as they sign the order. It's in there. I've had high-level banking people from New York City who called me from one of the several survival expos around the country saying, look, we used to make fun of you guys. We'd listen to you and say, yeah, sure. And then he said, all of a sudden, we started to see things happening. Memos coming through, policies coming through, changes in what we were supposed to say and not say, and how we were supposed to set up accounts and not do it, and how we could liquidate some of these accounts on virtually a hair trigger action. And so he said, you know, we're the ones, we grouped up 5 of my buddies on the upper echelon at this one bank. He said, we bought our retreat, we've got everything planned, and he said, we're listening to you guys. Well, let's just assume for the sake of the debate tonight, Hawk, that what we're saying is accurate and that it is out there, it is in the works, and it's ready to be put into play as soon as the situation, whatever that might be, would call for it. Now, some would say, and I see the wisdom in what they say, saying, well, we must be prepared in case anything would happen. We want things to be somewhat normal, if that's possible. Well, it's not possible, especially if you have the kinds of possibilities that we're talking about tonight occur. But let's just say that, all right, we're going to plan and we're going to get the structure set in place and we're going to be all set to go. Well, I have to tell you, if the surface of the United States has been greatly altered or destroyed by whatever event, why is it necessary to maintain and control the Internal Revenue Service as a backup plan to make sure that we collect taxes from the American people when things go down? This is over the edge of the page, Hawk. It doesn't make any sense, but yet they're the kind of people that will plan that way so they truly wrap those chains around our wrists. We will be enslaved. We're enslaved now. We're enslaved in our ignorance.
You better believe it.
We're enslaved in ignorance. We're enslaved in spiritual loss. People would rather go to a soccer game tonight and go out and eat a pizza and not even bring any of this up, not anything specific about what we're talking about, but just the idea as a whole. Do you have anything set back in case there's a little problem with the weather or there's some other problem? No, they don't. They don't talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They stick their heads in the ground or in their uttermost parts, and they just will not get on with this, Hawk. You know this, the frustration that you and Steve and I feel, along with many others, is that we have done all we can to notify. We keep giving you information. We keep putting it right in front of you, and you keep going deeper into denial and saying, I'm not going to deal with this. I will not be a part of this. The United States would never do this. The internment camps, that's a figment of your imagination, Greg. Well, I'll tell you what, that's not what Halliburton thought when they were building them.
Obama signed it.
That's correct. And so the NDAA alone convinced me, not that I need to be convinced, but convinced me and should have convinced many others, and did a few, that this does actually exist because they're advertising for those positions for internment camp, concentration camp guards and managers and people that will be in the infrastructure of these camps. Well, why would they do that? I guess they just do it because they don't have anything else to do. But it's happening, Hawk, all around us. What are we going to do? All we can do is tell people and let them decide for themselves.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that's what we can do. But I'm to be honest with you, I thought more people were waking up. of late, I've seen a return of a lot of people who have pulled the blinders back on their head because the threats and things that they're seeing now before their eyes.
Well, Hans, look, just this week, I have read emails from people I know. I know who they are. I know where they live, where they come from. They're good people. But because somebody out there struck a match and wanted to take issue with some of the things that Steve and Doug and Joe and I were talking about the other night, as if to say that one person who said, well, I don't think this is entirely right, and it may have come from some other source, and all the different, and these people have their tree shaken instead of standing up and saying, oh, it's not going to alter my planning, it's not going to alter my preparation, it's not going to alter what I do, the way I've got planned to get from A to B when the time comes. Instead, they're going, well, now I'm questioning this. I don't know what to do. I'm just all confused. And I thought, well, if you're confused now, and I mean this in a positive way, if you're confused now, what are you going to be 6 months from now when the lights go out? You're going to be so confused, you won't be able to find your rear end with both hands and a rear end finder. So it comes down to... And
that's how they're going to start it, of course. I remember talking to somebody back in the 90s who told me the plans that they had then. And that was in Arkansas and even in a rural area, to where the firefighters and the post office employees and the school janitors even had assignments. They were to go to such and such crossroads in the county road, such and such, by the township road crossroads, and they were to take a firearm and stand guard there and let nobody pass until given further notice, and that kind of thing. And they said back then, we're going to start it off, we're going to turn off the water, turn off the electricity, turn off the natural gas, turn off the cell phones, turn off the banks, the ATMs, turn it all off, and let it go wild weasel for about a week, and then we'll send in, this is what they'll do. Then they'll send in their Operation Mountain Lion guys you're talking about. They'll jump in, and as you've been Novichoked or gassed from above, and your bodies are laying out, then the boys will jump right in and cordon around you, and they will put you on the trucks or put two in your head. They really won't care too much.
No, they won't. And if you people who are listening tonight, and I say this lovingly to you, it may seem harsh, but I mean it in love. If you can't get it, if you can't stay on course, if you're shaken up because you're thinking you might have to leave your precious job at some point, and yes, jobs are important, and yes, paying the bills are important, but so's taking care of your family and your life. But you can go ahead and plan. You can continue to do what you've been doing. Why would that shake you? Is it just that you don't have the background or the spiritual commitment to keep on with this?
We'll be back in a second, Greg. We'll pause for the cause, ladies and gentlemen. Be back with this exciting show with Greg Evensen.